Good afternoon from the wide open spaces of America. We're back on the side of Route 66. Well, Route 66 and Route 66. In the last episode, we woke up in Kingman, Arizona, explored the wonders of Kingman, gigantic Heticus, Hackberry General Store, Valentine Station, and Peach Springs, Arizona, on the Hualapai Reservation, which I have just now departed from. Still got about 35 miles to go to Seligman, Arizona. This is probably the best preserved old section of Route 66 that was cut off by the interstate that you can still travel uninterrupted for 40 or 50 miles or so. The very section of highway that inspired the story of Radiator Springs in the Pixar movie Cars. But the section that we travel down today, as old as it is and it predates the interstate, is actually a newer alignment of Route 66, and all along the side of the road, over these fences on private property, you'll see old abandoned stretches of ghost road, earlier, thinner, more narrow alignments of Route 66 that were used by the earliest travelers 100 years ago, when these old dusty wagon roads were linked together and paved and signed and numbered Route 66 starting in 1926, although paving it all took a lot longer than that. Now, if any town, any single town on Route 66 could claim to be the real Radiator Springs, it would definitely be the one at the end of this stretch of road, Seligman, Arizona. That's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here. But like I mentioned, we got 30 plus miles to get there, and this open country out here on this portion of Route 66, just south of the western portion of the Grand Canyon, is not only full of ghost roads and ghost bridges, as you can see out there, lots of wide open space to drive through, and a little bit of wacky, roadside, kitschy, tourist-friendly wonder. As I mentioned, this is Grand Canyon country. We're actually just a few miles away from the southern tip of the southernmost part of the Grand Canyon, the part of it that goes through the Hualapai Reservation land, which is exactly what inspired the name of our first stop out here, the epic, the incredible, the wonderful Grand Canyon Caverns. Literally just to the north of Route 66, just past those hills in the far distance, is the Grand Canyon. Although not the part that's exactly the most accessible for tourists, since it's not part of the national park. And that inspired the name of the caves here, the actual caverns, yes indeed, which were formed by water that leaks all the way, supposedly, down into the Grand Canyon and the Colorado River itself. Now, the story goes that 1 year after this became Route 66, a fellow by the name of Walter Peck was on his way to a poker game, I don't know where the heck that poker game would have been, and slipped and fell into a crack in the ground, discovering what would become known as the Grand Canyon Caverns. I think at first they were called Yampai Caverns, something like that. Later, Coconino Caverns, until they eventually settled on the name that would really hook the tourists. And this place became so popular that, as you could see out on the road, when they were widening the highway, they gave it a big divided area with 2 lanes on each side, just because the amount of traffic pulling into and out of the Grand Canyon Caverns driveway. Now, I have been down in the caverns themselves on a previous Randomland adventure. We did film down there. Spoiler alert, I'm not going down in the caves today. Not too long ago, they had a breakdown of the one and only elevator that goes up and down from the caverns. It's since been fixed and been perfectly reliable, but I'm still a little nervous. And I'm on a mission. I've got a long way to drive tonight before I hotel and sleep well. I've never actually stayed at the Caverns Inn, the motel that's on the property. But even if you're not staying here, even if you're not going down into the caverns themselves, it is still an epic and absolutely must stop at destination along the side of old Route 66. You can see these vintage fire trucks out here right up against the highway. You can get gas at the Radiator Springs gas station right here in front of the motel. As the sign says here, you actually prepay for gas at the motel desk on one of the working pumps. And yes, there are working gas pumps out here. This by itself is an absolutely amazing, incredible, preserved mid-century gas station. By the way, 1957, there was another name for these caverns I totally forgot about, Dinosaur Caverns, which is why you see so many dinosaurs built out here. I don't think they ever found any actual dinosaur fossils in the Grand Canyon Caverns, maybe an ancient bear or sloth or something. But yeah, look at that. The Grand Canyon Caverns gas station office. Then of course they did have their service station, which now I believe serves as the laundromat for the hotel, and the campground inside there, which you enter through the back. And look at all these old original Chevron and Sinclair and Sky Chief gas pumps that they had out here. Oh, I don't actually see a Sinclair one. Did I just make that up? Something weird is happening to my brain. What the heck? I actually see a Richfield pump over here. They've been collecting gas pumps from all over the place. See, look at that, Richfield, which by the way, still exists. Most people don't know this. It's the R in Arco. So whenever you see an Arco gas station, the R stands for Richfield. Yes, look at that, Sinclair aircraft right there. I don't know if that's a replica decal or what. Man, I really can't talk today. Oh yeah, I think somebody slapped these decals on afterwards because I could see the chevron hiding under there. Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. It would be a great place to stay. I've never done it myself, not yet. It's on my list of places to stay. The Grand Canyon Caverns Motel, or Cavern Inn, or whatever you want to call it. And the caves are absolutely worth your time and worth your money to check out and see. But you should come and stop here anyways. They've got a fantastic gift shop up here, there's a little restaurant, and I mean, I'm not talking about up here against the highway. You actually have to drive back towards the caverns themselves to get to it. But they have an RV park, a restaurant, a campground, and lots of free stuff to look at right here, even in the parking lot. Now there's less old cars I can see now parked out here than there used to be, but they still have all these historic fire trucks, including this old International one that says Radiator Springs Fire Department. You're hot, we're not. They have definitely been using whatever gimmick, whatever name, and whatever hook they can get to get travelers off the highway since the very beginning, since Walter Peck back in the 1920s, and they hook me in every time. Just look at that. That is a thing of beauty and a joy forever. Oh yeah, look at that. You can check into the motel over here. You can get some supplies, some sundries, go in the breakfast room, the little restaurant. Look at this over on the windows over here, and how about that mid-century architecture, huh? I did not know they did this. Grand Canyon Caverns Ghost Tours. Okay, that's pretty interesting right there. It's also a little airport right here. I never really realized there was an airport. And then this, we have been inside on the cave tour before, the Cavern Suite, 210 feet underground. You can actually stay in this hotel room overnight in the cavern itself. You can see where the walking tour goes right by it. You can actually stay in that hotel room. That is also on my bucket list, although I think I'd like to spend a night in the above ground motel room first. I don't really get claustrophobic going on the walking cave tours that you go on. I mean, a little bit in the elevator, but for some reason, the idea of sleeping in the cavern with just all that 210 feet of rock above you, that makes me, I don't know, that makes me a little, ugh. Anyway, enough about that. There aren't as many old cars out here as there used to be. Maybe we'll see them make a return, but there are still dinosaurs aplenty along your drive, and I love these things. Look at these homemade looking metal dinosaurs with, I don't know if that's a creepy look, a derpy look, or both mixed together, but I do appreciate that they have these rocks down here painted like dinosaur eggs. Like, you're laying some eggs there, lady? See the remains of the old playground out here? A lot of old metal playground equipment from way back in the day, including this. Look at this. Dope on a rope winch over here. That's a little replica of the way they used to drop you down into the caverns. They'd have to lower you down on one of these. This is the reason I stopped here first. I was just loving this stretch of highway, as you saw in the last episode. Hackberry, Giganticus, Heticus, Valentine's Station, Peach Springs, all points in between. This whole section of Route 66 just feels so remote. I mean, even though we're right by the Grand Canyon, we're not too far off the interstate. I got here in about an hour or so, but there's something, it's one of those places you have to be to really understand what I'm talking about. It's one of those places where you feel like you're remote. You really feel like you're out in nature, and you're just really, you really have reached the open road. By the way, this dinosaur right here, this dino's name is Zoomy. And Zoomy, like me, is from Southern California. I believe this was built for and installed in San Juan Capistrano at the little petting zoo down there back in 2011, something like that. Probably on the sign. Yes, it is on the sign. 2011. I can remember Zoomy was actually there when my son went on a field trip to that very place. But some people down in San Juan Capistrano, where the mission is and all that, felt like, there's a lot of rich people down there, they felt like it was inappropriate to have this big green foam dinosaur. And so with much media fanfare, he was transferred here to the Grand Canyon Caverns, another Southern Californian that moved out to old Route 66 and is just enjoying the peace and quiet of the countryside. Starting to feel jealous. If I had $1 million, well, if I had $1 million, I'd probably try to buy the house I'm living in. If I had $2 million, though, oh, I would try to get a place on Route 66. You heard it right here. That's the dream. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is it's a perfect pull-off off the highway. Often people pass right by. Get a free fun pic with some dinosaurs. Check out some mid-century architecture. Stay the night. Get a cup of coffee like I'm about to do from the restaurant. It's a great stop not far from Seligman, Arizona, Radiator Springs itself. Maybe you can get your little Zoomers and Gen Alpha, do we have a name for them? Off their screens and down in a cave. If you bring the family out here, it is fun for the whole fam. Let them run around and enjoy some wide open spaces. He'll enjoy Oklahoma's wide open spaces. He loves to run and run. I've actually decided to practice what I preach here a little bit. I pulled out of the driveway and down the road to the restaurant, gift shop, and caverns themselves. Kind of a long road off of old Route 66. In fact, I think it's about a mile or so off of the main highway. But there's all kinds of little signs along the way, and I don't know, there's just something about getting off the highway and taking those little detours that I love. It's 90-something degrees out here, but I've still rolled down the windows. Just love breathing in the open air. Hey, look at this! Stay slow, 25 miles per hour. Dinosaur crossing. See, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Absolutely free so far. You come down this road, you can look at the Caverns dinosaur habitat. Back when I used to tour in a punk rock band, man, I traveled all over the country back and forth, primarily on the interstate, but all my favorite memories are from when we had to take little back roads to go stay with someone or play in some weird small town. You can see a lot from the interstate. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, you can make time, good time, but the best way to get to know America is to take as many back roads as possible, even if that's just a driveway to Grand Canyon Caverns. Which, by the way, we have now found. Here are the caverns proper. This is the entrance. This is where you take the elevator down that hole. Walter Peck fell down. Wonder if he's any relation to that guy from Ghostbusters. And look at this, before we look at the caverns building, this is something I don't know if I ever noticed before. The motel trail. You can actually walk all the way back to the motel. It says it's a 1 mile rough and uneven footpath with slippery terrain. Still, that'd be kind of a fun adventure. Stay at the motel, take the kids on a 1 mile walk to the cavern. Of course, then you gotta take a 1 mile walk back. They also have bunk houses back here behind the caverns for rent, and the ranch house, whatever that is. A lot of different ways to choose your own adventure out here at Grand Canyon Caverns, a place, like I said, that does not get quite enough love. I don't know if I've ever noticed this before. They got a little playground and picnic area off to the side. An absolutely huge chunk of petrified log to sit on. This used to blow people's minds. Now I think modern people are not as impressed with petrified wood, although we should be, right? I love the little T-Rex that sits out in front of the Grand Canyon Caverns main office and restaurant and gift shop, of course. I love his stubby little forward projecting arms. I love his derpy, wide little head. There's nothing I love more than a handmade, homemade dinosaur. And I like that he's got a little 2026 sign in front of him and a bird's nest in his mouth. I love it. It's perfect. And I have deja vu. I don't know if I just showed you this already or not, but I love that right in front of the playground equipment, look at this. You got an old saddle on a piece of wood there. We can be cowboys. This is so old school. There's something very 1950s about this, maybe 1940s. It's very, very, very old school. I don't know how old exactly, but I definitely love the sort of mid-century sweep of this built-in bench on this stone wall right here. It's gorgeous. And as I mentioned, you got fun pick opportunities, a great gift shop in here, including plush bats and other cave-related materials. And this is where the restaurant is on property. Let me see if I can get some coffee. Oh, it is awesome in here. And yes, they've got cups of coffee available, along with a lot of dead animals and old locks and old equipment on the walls. I just gave you the 360 over here. I'm gonna sit down, have a cup of joe. Oh yes, a piping hot caffeinated beverage. As my friend Adam would have said, you like $2.30 worth of coffee, and I feel like I'm having $20 of fun. Dude, genuinely, I feel so much better after that cup of coffee and just sitting there. I've also been doing, speaking of memories, I've been doing something lately where I try really hard not to look at my phone throughout the day when I'm traveling. Oftentimes, whenever I stop and pull over or whatever, I'll spend half the time looking down at my phone, catching up on text messages. Not that you can here, there's no cell phone service out here, which is a plus for me. But I've always found that when that happens, right, when there is no cell phone service and I've got to sit inside of a coffee shop, au natural, with my own eyes, just staring around and looking, I will remember that coffee shop or that experience way more than anything else I saw on the road, because I would look at something, I would film something, I immediately look down at my phone. And I've always known this helpful travel tip, right? Do not live it through the lens. Try to take the time to stop and appreciate it. Like, let's use Disneyland for the example. Everybody's got their cell phone out. They're filming every ride. They're filming every presentation, every show, every building on Main Street. I mean, yes, some of us, that's our chosen career out here. But if you're just visiting and trying to make memories, yeah, snap a few pictures. But I would advise, you know, there's pictures of every inch of those places exist on the internet. So I always tell people, you can always look up a video of any part of the park, its history, the buildings, the architecture, the shows even. You can see live streams from parks every day. So I feel like this has been the pro tip, and I'm not the first one to come up with this, that if you're gonna spend the money, try to spend as little time on the phone as possible. Now, they've made it hard by doing apps and everything else. You almost have to be looking at your phone all the time now in a Disney park. But the rule of thumb still applies to things like Route 66. Definitely snap pictures, get photos of yourself out here. But I find that the less amount of time you can get sucked into checking any kind of messages, voicemails, text messages, anything during the day that breaks the spell almost, the better, right? Not taking pictures or video. I'm talking about checking in with the world, doom scrolling while you're sitting at the coffee shop instead of just absorbing the atmosphere. I know, especially for those who are younger, who grew up this way, that it's much, much harder to do because you turn off your phone and you're just looking around going, boring. So these days, it's almost a skill you have to acquire. You weren't raised with the skill of sitting in one spot and kind of entertaining yourself in your own imagination. But if you can acquire that skill, let me tell you, it will serve you very well the rest of your life. Because I find little moments like that, no cell phone service, nothing to say on camera, just me sitting there enjoying a cup of coffee, talking to the waiter, saying hi to the people at the table next to me. You know, those are the things I'll remember for years to come. Something about it. That's the real romance of the road, that vibe, the atmosphere, the breeze outside. So, unusual way to start this particular episode, taking that a little break from the earlier episode before we get to Seligman. If I could offer one helpful tip, it would be stop often to see the thing, but also to have a little picnic, or for some people it's a beer. For me, it's a cup of coffee or a cigar or whatever it is that's your thing. Something that will stop you. You can pull out a folding chair, just sit in one spot, you know, for 15, 20 minutes at a time in different stops. That will really help soak it in, burn it in. You know, for every couple of minutes that you see in one of these episodes, I was in the place for an hour or two, partially for that reason, right? I really want to experience it, not just fly by night, take a few pictures and leave, which is why I've got to rectify the fact that I've never stayed even in the motel over here. I got to make up for that on my next Route 66 trip. Of course, going the slow way does have its drawbacks. I'm not even to Seligman yet, so I better shut up and enjoy the scenery and start making my way out there. But dude, come on. How good is all this free fun out here for the price of a $2.37 cup of coffee? I donated my change from the $5 bill just back to the staff's tip jar, because even $5 won't buy me a coffee at most of the coffee shops back home. I love it out here, man. I absolutely love it. All right, well, we still got 25 more miles of beautiful open back roads, Route 66, till we get to Seligman, the real life Radiator Springs, and I'm gonna enjoy every stinking mile of this. A tune on the radio, a song in my heart, prairie dogs running across the road. Doesn't get much better than this. All right, yes, I'm so pumped up. Freaking Seligman, the birthplace of historic Route 66. Like I always say, the closest thing you can get to a real-life Radiator Springs. We're just on the outskirts right here, the interstate exit, part of Seligman, but make sure you keep cruising, because it's down in the old downtown Seligman you find the real gold. I love these little old Western railroad towns, turned highway towns. There's just nothing quite like them. Like I say, the layers of different kinds of architecture, of decade after decade of highway history, and of course, the wacky, the unusual, the hand-painted murals, the hand-painted signs, the old cars and motorcycles and sticker walls. All of that comes together here in downtown Seligman, Arizona. And look at this, the Copper Cart right here, the old restaurant. This was the meeting place where Angel Delgado and some of the other townsfolk got together and established what became historic Route 66, something that every other state has emulated. This was the birthplace of the Route 66 revival that has swept the nation and has really picked up steam in the last year or two because of the 100th anniversary of Route 66. He's called the guardian angel of the Mother Road for a reason, because birthing the idea of traveling down historic Route 66 and not it just being an old abandoned forlorn highway is the reason you literally see busloads of tourists from Europe or Asia like we have today, keeping this otherwise bypassed, cut off old highway town in business. It's so interesting, no matter how many times I come out to Seligman, I'll meet someone new, see something new, or see changes. I remember there was a very nice lady who ran a sort of little gift shop right here. Now it's Highway Hot Dog, and they've got gourmet hot dogs and gelato. Then this for a long time was a thrift shop that's now apparently a collision repair center if the sign over the door isn't just an old sign. I don't think so though. It looks like they're actually working on a lot of automobiles, both inside and out. And we're witnessing the birth of some new murals up there. But it's funny because some of the foreign tourists have been taking pictures of these pickup trucks and stuff that are being worked on. I guess I do the same thing. Like when I go to France, I take pictures of all their little tiny trucks. I like this, look at this. Ooh, I'm a bigger fan of Chevy vans than Dodge vans, but look at this old tradesman. That is a cool one. I don't know what in the world this huge cone is, but look at this. We've already run in to Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow. It looks like Lightning's got some off-road upgrades. He's ready to do some more of that dirt racing. And then look at this little gift shop over here. It's been here for a while. The Seligman Hippie Cricket Store. Still in business, but with even more wacky stuff in the front yard. Dude, just this one building would easily pull me off the highway every time I came through the area. Just this stuff in the front yard is enough for someone like me. I mean, where else do you see the old Coke cooler, planters, and toilet gardens, old wagon wheels, and look, so much stuff in the front yard, you could never get tired of looking at it. Homemade fun pick opportunities out here. And it's right across the street from the Supai Motel. I've stayed there many times. My good old friend Adam the Woo's also stayed there many times. It's one of those towns where the sidewalk rolls up long before sunset, but there's something romantic about that too. Staying out here and then you come take a walk in the twilight, everything gets so quiet. You could stand in the middle of the street for 10 minutes at a time and never see a car come through. But look at this. I have never noticed this before. The postcard motel. Somebody has been working on the Supai's next door neighbor and getting her all fixed up. I don't know how long this has been here, but I do not recall ever noticing that sign before. I love when people take historic roadside motels like this and then kind of boutique them up. And to my eye, it looks like that's exactly what's happening right here. I love when a new generation of owners who appreciate the history, mystery, and romance of the highway get a hold of these places and restore them, especially when that means little details like this mid-century railing right here gets preserved. Okay, I got another new motel to stay at on my next trip. So many old historic motels, either still in operation or restored and opened by new owners on this highway that I feel like it's impossible to stay in them all, but I make my very best efforts. Look at this, the Black Cat Bar. Now this is the local watering hole, the local saloon, one of the only places that's open at night. If you ever go in there, you will certainly meet the townsfolk, some of whom are very sweet, very nice, very gentle, and others are wild characters, trust you me. But look at this, outside of the gnarly biker bar, you got the Kindness Rock Garden. Look at this, take one for inspiration, share one for motivation, or leave one to help our garden grow. Look at all these little hand-painted rocks. I like this one just in case you're looking for a sign, but I like this one even more. It's a little snake head. Dude, these rocks are so freaking hot from the sun. Ah, hot potato. I think I'm gonna take this rock and leave it somewhere else. I'm gonna pass this little snake face on. Okay, this is interesting. Look at this little sandwich board right here. Coffee, baked goods, Filipino food, and resale shop. I don't know exactly which building that is referring to, but I'm assuming the Seligman grocery, which I'm happy to see, is still open. I love this little market right here. It's just such a cute little grocery store. One of those small town mom and pop markets I just love going into. You get in a little friendly conversation with people. Then I love this little building across the road. Any vestige from Seligman's old Western railroad town history. Oh, look at this. The sandwich board didn't refer to the grocery store. It referred to this Commodore house. Dude. There is another amazing Route 66 change for you. Commodore House, Filipino food, roasted coffee. They roast their own coffee in there. In fact, I just met the owner, Jenilyn. I hope I'm getting her name right. It's like a one-stop shop. She's got the Filipino food, the coffee, a little resale shop. And she not only hand roasts her own coffee, but hand makes some dark brown sugar syrup that she puts in this. It's pretty good. Look at this house next door. This has been here a long time. They used to have a bunch of junk on the porches of these two houses, so it was clearly some kind of resale shop that was open at odd times back in the day. I never went inside either one of these buildings before, but I like this. You can now see the sign much more clearly. Commodore Perry Owens, born in Tennessee in 1852, died 1919 in Seligman. He shot and killed the notorious outlaws, the Blevins brothers, in Holbrook, Arizona. Yes, sir, in some ways it's still the Wild West out here. So they definitely appreciate their old Western lawman history. I love every old building in Seligman. They all feel like old friends to me now whenever I come out here. Last time I was here, we were doing a little then and now on some of these old buildings, including this one right over here, the big mercantile building, the General Commercial Company Incorporated. So I won't go back through that entire history on this particular visit. I love the old town bandstand out here with the Beale Wagon Road Memorial. We mentioned that a lot in the last episode, which I filmed this morning. It was the first federal highway in the Southwest. 1857 to 1860, Edward F. Beale and his crew were building that wagon road across the Southwest, and that became Route 66 eventually. Well, or big chunks of it anyway. I love to see that the Canyon Lodge appears to be going strong, as well as the Road Runner down over here. That's where I got my coffee last time, but of course, I had to try out the Commodore House, had to try out the new place. And look at this, here's the old Rusty Bolt. They got neato 50s stuff inside, tons of motorcycle accoutrement, and a whole bunch of creepy mannequins, both inside and out. Although it looks like a lot of their outside mannequins have disappeared, but maybe they are just cleaning them up and getting them ready for the centennial celebration, which all goes down starting at the end of April, beginning of May out here. I love all these old hand-painted signs, pieces of a bygone era. I've always loved this one the most, the monthly going out of business sale. And I also like that if you're lonely, you can find yourself some company. Hey, how's it going? You like coffee? Oh, the silent type, huh? I like that, I like that. Wait a minute, I'm married. Stay away from me, you vile temptress. Wait a minute, who does this mannequin look like? It looks just like somebody, kind of like Cher. Is that who I'm thinking of? I don't know. It's so hot. Coffee was a bad choice. Ah, yes, then look at this. We've got Return to the 50s over here, which is once again open to the public. I always like to see these places open. Last time I was here, it was closed down. And you never know when people are just closing it down because it hasn't been busy, or maybe they needed to go out of town. I love each and every one of these shops. You know, we were talking about layers. You see the Supai Hotel back there and some of the mid-century hotels, or excuse me, motels really down over here. And then you see some of the earliest auto courts ever, also along the same street down here, Old Highway 66. This one was built in 1932. The Deluxe Inn Motel. I have actually stayed here too. As a matter of fact, I had this little plastic container to hold hard-boiled eggs in my cooler, and I left it here in one of the fridges. I've always missed that thing. I always loved this old horse statue out in front, and the fact that it pretty much backs up right onto the railroad tracks. So all night you hear, wah, you hear the trains going by. And this is such an early automotive court that you can see there the doors to the rooms, right? And then you see those big red beams? That covers the old garage. What happened is, and if you've ever watched my Route 66 series, you know this very well. There used to be garages right next to your hotel room, especially in the 1920s and 30s when cars were a little bit smaller than they'd get in the 50s and 60s. That was considered like such an amazing feature, right? You can have your automobile right next to your room. And then they realized, hey, if we fill those in and use those as extra rooms, we can actually double our capacity. And so that is what happened out here at the Deluxe Inn. I love that sign from probably the 1950s or 60s, so they're trying to modernize, but it's still an old stone railroad early auto motel. One of the cutest little places ever, and it's pretty much right next door to Seligman's main attraction, or well, one of two main attractions, Angel and Vilma's gift shop. This is Angel Delgado's barber shop right here. Angel's still with us. He's well into his 90s now. As a matter of fact, in just a couple of weeks, Angel will be turning 99 years old. He's retired from day to day, greeting all the visitors. Just still see him around town every once in a while. Angel and I have met and talked many times in the past when he was still out here on a daily basis, and his children And nieces and nephews and all kinds of family members still help out around the shop. This is probably the one place that deserves your patronage more than any other because of Angel's role in founding historic Route 66. Of course, he didn't do it all by himself, but he was the prime impetus. And speaking of Pixar's movie Cars, Angel's story not only inspired a big chunk of that story, but you can see Angel Delgado in the special features. All right, now speaking of new things, I mean, not super new, but relatively speaking, new things. Right next door to Angel's, you've got Route 66 Road Relics. And if you have ever been on Facebook and looked up Route 66, it is likely you have come across the Route 66 Road Relics Facebook page run, like the shop, by a fellow by the name of Big Mike. And whenever I see Big Mike coming, I think, oh, here comes trouble. His Facebook page has definitely made a big splash, but he's got some prime real estate right here between Angel Delgado's gift shop and Angel's brother's old establishment, the Snow Cap over there. It looks like Big Mike's got some coffee too, some $2 espresso. I'm sorry I didn't buy coffee from you, Mike. Let's go in and see if he's in here and say howdy to the biggest fella on Route 66. Big Mike's not here today, but the king is here. Elvis is in the building. Oh, I didn't even notice when I was walking in. The king is out here too. He's everywhere. The king, he's out here. He's in the building and he's left the building.
6 months ago?
I love that, dude.
He wouldn't take one unless it was Elvis.
Yeah. Dude, so many antiques and relics. I don't know where he finds them all. Dave was in the shop. Dave is super cool. Look at this robot here. You got this, is that a deer or a dog? I don't know. Well, we didn't see Big Mike today, but shout out to Big Mike. Shout out to Dave, who's holding down the fort. Trust me, if you search Route 66 Road Relics, he will pop up. I believe his Facebook page just kind of started out, if I'm remembering our conversations correctly, as a kind of a way to promote the shop. And he just posts a picture now and again of a different Route 66 attraction with just a little simple caption or whatever. But he's since gone to YouTubing. Which is so funny, 10 years ago when I was setting out on my first Route 66 trips to film Randomland, my actual Randomland series became the longest documentary series on Route 66 of all time up to that point. Like the most episodes, the most coverage, right? And since then, a lot of people have gone full time just filming Route 66, up and down and up and down. A lot of them have told me that I inspired their journeys. Maybe that's idle flattery, I don't know. But it's always nice to hear something like that. So I think I'm a weird type of shy, right? Like once you get me going or say hi to me or somebody recognizes me, I'll talk your ear off. Like I won't quit talking all day. It's kind of a problem, actually. But before that point, I'm quite bashful. So I appreciated it even more that thousands of people who watched those videos and took a trip on Route 66 would mention my name whenever they'd come through places like Seligman or really anywhere along the Mother Road. Because my first couple of trips up and down the highway, I didn't know anyone and I really didn't talk to many people. But now, every time I go down Route 66, people stop me everywhere. I feel like I make a new friend every single time, like Ruben earlier today. And obviously, Route 66 is a special kind of community anyways, but it's meant a lot to me that so many of the people who preserve and restore and open businesses along Route 66, who are my heroes, have been so kind and gracious and welcoming to me over the years, as well as that whole new generation of Route 66 content creators and Mother Road fans and travelers. You know, I started Randomland down at Disneyland because it was basically just what was right next door to my house and where the most history was. And I'm a big Disneyland fan. I basically grew up in the place. And myself and a very small handful of people were really the first YouTube shows down there, right? It's become a whole genre since then. I mean, seriously, there's literally thousands of people full-time making content about the parks, whether they're getting paid for it or not, right? Maybe tens of thousands of people now. And speaking for myself, my friend Adam the Woo, who was another one of the very earliest guys down there, not full-time, but part-time, and they're me or David Fresh Baked. You know, Adam and I were never, ever even put on the guest list for like one media thing, a new ride opening. You know, you kind of feel like, you filmed there for all those years, you never made one impact, and maybe we haven't. Not that that's what it's all about. And of course, once people were starting to be invited, we saw quickly how you kind of had to toe the party line. It's better to stay independent anyways. Adam felt so burned by that he made it a policy. I'm never doing one of those. Yeah, a little bit of spurned lover there. And that's never what it was all about, right? It was about sharing stuff that you're passionate about. But I only bring it up to contrast that with Route 66, where I feel like every little business I've stopped at, every little roadside stop I've filmed or shown love to, they have given me that love 10 times back. Dude, and you're talking about More than 2,000 miles of highway and different businesses and business owners, tens of thousands of travelers who come from all over the world. Route 66 fans are a very interesting bunch of people, very much a tribe of kindred spirits. You show love to Route 66 and it loves you back, which is amazing. You know, look at this guy. This poor fella's in the doghouse against the best part of the snow cap, his Juan's garden back here. Juan Delgado was known as the clown of Route 66. He's the guy that would always pull pranks on you when you went inside of there, squirt those fake mustard bottles at you. Super funny, super just intelligent guy. The family's been here for a long time. Bunch of professional musicians in that family too that would travel all around during the Great Depression. I've had the pleasure of being out here a couple of times when the Delgados get together. Some of the old timers get together and play music. I got to carry the drum set for Angel. Really solid family, really good people. And Juan Delgado, who kept the snow cap going after all the tourists started to leave Route 66 and turned it into this wacky, epic, super fun stop along Route 66. Super famous. A little bit overlooked compared to his more famous brother. Not that Angel wouldn't give him credit right away. Just as sort of like the ambassador for Route 66 along with Angel, because people would come over here and meet Angel, then they would dip into the snow cap for some malts or some creamy root beer. Trust me, if you ever had an encounter with Juan in there, you would never forget it. Very funny guy. All right, nice to see that the Aztec is still over here. The Aztec Motel, gift shop and collectibles. I've never stayed at the Aztec. I plan on doing it one day. It's on my list. Problem is the list is so long now, it's mostly theoretical. Look at this. Look at the way they've cleaned this place up too. I love how they've done this little parking lot area, the fire pits, the picnic tables. Hope you can see that. Some little murals on the wall, including Easy Rider. Oh, by the way, speaking of Easy Rider, they filmed a scene in Valentine, Arizona. And the place we were just at, Valentine Station, had a little restaurant in it at that time in the 60s. Ruben was telling me that that's the restaurant that catered to the production company when they were out there filming Easy Rider. Yeah. I never really liked Easy Rider though, I gotta tell you, because when I watched Easy Rider, I thought it was gonna be that Marlon Brando movie, and I was like, what the heck is this? Why is it in color? Why are there so many hippies in this movie? Anyway, yeah, you had Juan Delgado's house right over there. Angel doesn't live behind his gift shop, but the Delgado family patriarch, their father, Angel Sr., not a lot of people know that Angel Delgado is a junior, ran a pool hall down here on Railroad Avenue. This was the main original drag in Seligman. As you can see, that is no longer the case once the highway took over from the railroad. In fact, there was a big Harvey house here in Seligman, so a huge railroad hotel and everything. That's all gone now. The Angel's father, Angel Sr., built a pool hall / barber shop, so the original barber in the family, right here on Railroad Avenue in 1923, before Route 66 even got here. Angel Jr., then the Angel that we know, later put his barbershop, I believe, in here in like the 50s or something like that, and then moved it up to the realigned Route 66. But look at this. This is incredible. The pool hall looks nothing like it used to. It is fully restored. That is incredible. The Delgado family held on to the place, and I know they'd had family parties in there, and I'd often ask to go inside. They'd be like, oh, I don't know. It has now been fully restored thanks to the generosity of Route 66 supporters and preservationists, and this is where they're going to be hosting the VIP part of the centennial celebration here in April, is right here in the old historic Delgado pool hall and barber shop right on Railroad Avenue, the original alignment, the 1926 alignment of Route 66 before the highway got too busy and had to be moved one block north onto, I think what it was called, Chico Street back then? I could be getting that wrong. These days, Railroad Avenue is more popular because there's a big water pump there, and I see all kinds of people that are off-grid homeowners and stuff coming out to the big water pump to fill up big old jugs. But yeah, for years, nobody knew what this was, and every time I'd ask the family about it, how do you know about that? I mean, it's in the books and stuff like that, but most casual travelers just never came over to Railroad Avenue. They didn't realize this was the original alignment, and that this, you're speaking of Angel Delgado, the most famous guardian angel of the Mother Road, all that kind of stuff, and nobody knew that the family roots started right here. Something we'll have to dive into more deeply on another occasion, because I just realized, like, in my head all day, I'm like, I just want to get to Seligman. And I kept thinking, like, yeah, this is where I'm going to stop for the night. And then I realized, no, I'm not even stopping in Williams, which comes up down the road, or Flagstaff. I'm going all the way past that to the far side. So I gotta get out of here. I gotta make some tracks. Uh-oh, looks like we got a whole busload of tourists. Or maybe children, or maybe a sports team coming to see Angel's place. It is good to be back in here. And look at that. Angel's Barbershop is now a museum where you can come, still get a fun pic with Angel, even when he's not here in person. I think I have a picture of London, my son, with Angel, standing next to the cutout of Angel also. So he had double Angels that day. Just one of my favorite places on the old Mother Road. I just like talking to the Delgado family. Clarissa, she's very nice, one of Angel's daughters. The Delgados definitely ran this town. Maybe they didn't start out that way, but they got there once they established historic Route 66. Well deserved, well deserved. They paved the way for all the other wackos, weirdos, and dreamers who keep coming out here and opening businesses of their own. Now, for most folks who take the historic Route 66, that unbroken old alignment we just followed from Kingman out here to Seligman, Seligman becomes their last stop, because this is where, once again, you kind of meet up with I-40, you meet up with the interstate. What most people don't know is there is an old alignment section that continues even farther east out of Seligman to an old abandoned bridge, and then you got to get back on the freeway eventually. And there's a lot of little broken, abandoned sections between here and Ash Fork and Flagstaff that we've explored in the past, back in 2016, 17, 18. It always hurts my heart when I have to skip those sections and just jump on the interstate. But I think that's what I'm gonna have to do today. I gotta make some tracks. I've got to ride like the wind. Trust me, it's probably for the best. Anyways, I'm having an adventure out here and having a good time, but I am trying to keep it as light as possible because I do want to come back and spend much more time out here, take things low and slow during this centennial year of Route 66 when I finally get to go back end to end. And on that note, usually I save this pitch for the end of the video, but if you'd like to join us on Patreon, that helps the most. Look at this. The Jackrabbit Trading Post, still 149 miles away. That is where I'm going to. The end goal, the destination of this journey. And if I'm ever gonna get there, I'd better leave now. Don't think it's quitting time though. We're not done for the day. I just gotta plug this camera in, recharge this battery that's about to die. Drink me a sugar-free Dr. Pepper. Oh sure, now I can do the Andy Devine impersonation and hit the road. Hard to leave though. Seligman is one of my favorite places. Problem is, every town I'm in, while I'm in it on Route 66, is my favorite. If I ever did win that Powerball, it'd be pretty hard to choose which little Mother Road town I'd come and build a roadside attraction in. But believe me when I say Seligman would be at the top of the list. All right, I gotta recharge this camera battery. I'm gonna roll down the windows here in a second, just soak in some of the vibes of just rolling down the old Mother Road. It is absolutely just God's country out here, my friends. God's country. Gorgeous, beautiful, romantic. One of those places where Route 66 meets the old West. I cannot recommend a trip down this road highly or strongly enough. Ah, man, if you know anything about me, you know it's painful to my heart and my soul to pass through this portion of the country so quickly, to breeze through Williams so fast. I love Williams, Arizona, but I finally made it up the mountain here to Flagstaff, Arizona. Another one of those towns from the song. I did an episode a couple years back on downtown Flagstaff and the old Black Cat Cafe, one of those Route 66 stops that had some of the coolest artwork ever in its old advertisements. And it's good to be back in downtown Flagstaff. There's signs all over the place for the 100th anniversary of Route 66. I'm just stopping here at the Amtrak station and Flagstaff Visitor Center to use the restroom. Oh, looks like this little piece of Britain right here is under construction. I love this part of Route 66. I mean, much of Route 66 parallels old railroad tracks, but particularly for some reason, this part of the country, I just like seeing the trains rolling by. I don't know why, something romantic about that, you know what I mean? It's loud, but it's romantic. Got the old Motel Downtowner sign over there. Just look at this train station. She's a beaut. Oh no. Closed. Closed. Now I'll never get to go to the restroom. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to get too sucked into a distraction, but the old Black Cat Cafe, just down there on this block here in Flagstaff. Hard for me to find that episode. If you happen to know what it was, put the link in the comments because I can't find it. Guess I gotta keep on cruising. I'm actually going to be coming back down the mountain on the east side. Like I said, tomorrow morning, I gotta get to the Jackrabbit trading post. They have been working on some really incredible stuff out there, and it is one of the most iconic stops on Route 66. And yet they've had their struggles the last couple of years. The tourists have been mighty thin on the ground. I'm not just talking about the pandemic, right? That was tough for everybody. But even afterwards, because the centennial was coming, last year was pretty thin for Route 66 travelers. And so I'm on a mission to take Cindy and Tony out there. A little gift, a little nifty gifty from Randomland. But I'm giving away all the secrets. We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna keep going here. I gotta find a freaking restroom. All right, rolling out. We are rolling out. Back on the road again. It's interesting, I don't have one single Route 66 tattoo, but I gotta tell you, the entire road is pretty much tattooed on my heart. I love this stuff. Every one of these old restored motor lodges and motels. I just want to stay in every single one. Oh, don't you worry. Eventually, I remembered where to go to the bathroom. It's almost like I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne. It's this right here. Basically the only thing at the exit for Winona, Arizona. Don't forget Winona. All there is pretty much at this exit is this Shell station, which looks relatively modern, right? It doesn't look like an old classic Route 66 thing, but in actuality, this is the old Winona trading post, and I happen to have an old postcard image. I've showed this before on the channel in previous episodes, showing its former glory. It's all still here. I mean, it looks a little more stripped down, a little more modern. They've added to it. They're now renting out U-Haul trailers from here as well. It's no longer a Texaco. You can see the blank letter up there next to the Shell, where it used to say Texaco, and luckily, they do have restroom facilities here. Ooh, they do have sombreros and serapes in here as well. Not to mention, they gave me this free bumper sticker and a free copy of that old postcard. They reprinted it. When I filmed that last episode showing the before and after with this old postcard and kind of discovering that this was the trading post, discovering for myself, I'm sure there are other experts that knew all about it. I do not remember this being a thing inside of that gas station. I'd be very curious to know whether they saw my episode or this is just something somebody came up with for the 100th anniversary. Either way, the more historic imagery on Route 66, the better. Dang it, man. I thought we had more time with the sun here. You can see the old bug slayer. My RAV4 here has been slaying a lot of its enemies on the windshield. Anyway, I'm gonna put the camera down, concentrate on driving, try to make it to where we're going to go to sleep. I might make one other stop real quick though, just take a peek at something. Well, as I suspected, we were in luck. We got just enough light for this last stop before I really have to knuckle down. The old Twin Arrows trading post, which I was really hoping there was some movement last year and the year before to try to get this restored. I mean, I don't mean rebuilding the buildings. The buildings have been pretty much lost to time. The outer shell is okay, but the inside, as you may have seen on our many visits here, is really, really decaying quickly now. So no, I don't mean restoration of the buildings, but I was really hoping that at least for the centennial, we might have gotten the Arrows twin restored. It's still, sadly, just the lone Arrow trading post now. It's been this way for quite a while, and I don't think anybody's ever figured out who hauled away the other Arrow after it fell down. Because first the Arrow fell, then somebody took the plywood bottom part, right, the actual arrowhead away, then someone took the whole pole. It's pretty crazy. Dang it. Well, still single Arrow trading post. I can't remember off the top of my head the way that it works. I know that the Hopi and Navajo have different land claims out here, and then somehow this is mixed up with state land and land leases. So you've got tribal partners to deal with, as well as the state, as well as maybe different Route 66 associations who have all tried to work together. They managed to do it a few times in the past with the help of a local resident. She sadly passed away in very tragic circumstances. Kind of a long story I've talked about before and we can't really get into right here at the moment, but I just wanted to stop by and take a peek, see it with my own eyes, and visually confirm that yes, sadly, the Twin Arrows, although it's still standing out here and looking all right, has only got the one arrow standing. Bummer. All right, the windshield is totally humbucked by bugs, so I'm not gonna film between here and our final stop. It pains me to pass so many cool Route 66 places on our way eastwards, but I've got a mission. So we'll go to one last legendary Route 66 place before we end this adventure. I will see you there. All right, well, I didn't have to drive as far as I thought I did. I was much closer than I realized. Now we're here for our final stop because it just wouldn't be a trip, however long or short, down Route 66 without standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Oh, dude, every time I come down to Winslow, I'm like, man, they're really cleaning this place up. And the cleaning up still continues. A couple people sitting out there at the Old Town Grill down here, some new coffee shops, the theater is still going strong. And here it is, look at this, with as few people as I've basically ever seen it. I almost never see it, actually, without tons of tourists milling around here, even in the middle of a weekday in the off season. It's the Standing on the Corner Park. Winslow's another place. We looked at a bunch of old postcards and some then and now photos, what it looked like back in the day, what some of these historic buildings were, but no matter what was here before, and it sure feels like no matter what comes here after, Winslow will always be most famous for being included in the lyrics of Take It Easy by the Eagles. They were just running down the road trying to loosen their load. And of course they included that famous line, standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford. Anyway, it's become a tradition for all Route 66 travelers and of course Eagles fans to come to Winslow, Arizona and stand here on this fairly arbitrary corner. They just basically picked a spot to celebrate the song, but it's been going on for a long time now, because even back in the early days of going on tour with my own band, I can remember coming through here, I think in the year 2001, it might have been 2002, for the first time. We pulled off the highway to some gas station right alongside the interstate, a couple miles up, or my brain's not working, anyways, a distance away. And we go, hey, where's the corner? He goes, oh, it's actually downtown. We were like, what the heck? There's an actual corner? Legend says this was it. Between you and me, I've done more and more research on it. There was never a specific corner being mentioned. It just rhymed, right? But local lore, before the internet, before all the conventions and podcasts and the ability to just interview the Eagles about it, local lore always said that it was that corner down there right on Route 66. There's also a great little historical museum down here with a lot of information about Harvey houses, of which there is one down here, a big restored railroad hotel called La Posada. And of course you have all your Route 66 standing on a corner gift shop over there, which is usually blaring out very copyrighted music, either Rascal Flatts or that Eagles song on a loop. Kind of nice coming here at night because I don't have to hear that song over and over and over again. It's actually funny. Speaking of my friend Adam, he loved Route 66. He loved coming down here to the corner because apparently he liked that song, but he hated anytime copyright music would be playing out loud anywhere in public. So he hated this corner. Like he thought it was cool that there was a corner, right? And the big mural and all that stuff, but he couldn't stand coming down here to film because of that copyright music blaring out from that offending gift shop right over there, which is a cool gift shop, I must say. But there's been some new ones opening up, some new stuff down here. Like look at the Relic Road Brewing Company. It's been here for a while, but look at that. Look at the brisk business it's doing. It's full of travelers and locals probably. And I can remember coming through here at night 20 years ago and it being a little sketch downtown. Now I'm out here standing on the corner all by myself. People are cruising by. Everybody's friendly, smiling and waving. And I don't know, it just has a different vibe, right? A different spirit, a different feeling, and I'm into it. I'm actually sleeping here in Winslow, Arizona tonight. I knew I wasn't gonna make it as far as Holbrook or out to where I'm going to the Jackrabbit. Maybe I was a little ambitious. Maybe I should have stayed in Williams or Flagstaff. But then I noticed I had some free credit in my hotels.com app, and I noticed a brand new, very highly rated hotel opened up in town. I was only looking in this town because I wanted to stay at this little mom and pop place, which happened to be full tonight. So I'm headed there now to go see it with my own eyes. And if it's good, I'll let you know how it is. If it's not, then the video ends now. By the way, just one more note. I love that downtown Winslow, which is full of all these historic railroad era buildings, this amazing little theater, all these cute restaurants and everything is so taken over by the corner, all from one little line and one little song that not only do you have the park, the little monument over there, you got the Standing on the Corner store, the gift shop, and the Take It Easy store over here. I wonder if the Eagles knew what kind of impact they were gonna have. Rock and roll. Oh yeah, Justin knows how to rock. All right, here it is. a newer hotel. I believe a hotel that's probably on the pricier side, but like I said, I got it for free through the credit that I built up in the Hotels.com app, which used to be a lot better, right? You would stay in a hotel for 10 nights, and then you would get the 10th night free or the 11th night free somewhere, a hotel of your choice. Now, like every time you spend 150 bucks or whatever, they give you like $2 in one key cash. It's kind of lame. But apparently I stay in hotels enough that it finally paid off. Let's go see how nice it is. Oh yeah, pretty darn nice place. Nice lobby. They got a little bar down here. They have one of those little stores in the hotel, which is always good if you need some water in the middle of the night or something. Kind of a nice break to stay in a nice hotel. This place is brand spanking new. I'm up here on the second floor, and I already dropped my stuff on, so I can already tell you the rooms are pretty nice. The thing about new hotels is, will they stay nice? Only time will tell. But right now, in its newness, oh, check this out. Looks very nice indeed. Very modern, very gray, which is always kind of a bummer. I always see YouTube videos about that now. Like, why is everything gray? Where'd all the color go? But I have to say, when it comes to hotel rooms, the whiter and light grayer everything is, the better, because then you can see how crusty or not crusty it really is. Got a nice TV, which I never really use in hotels, but there's a microwave and a fridge right there. That's very important to me. Got my my own food with me as ever. My own suitcase there. That green suitcase has served me well now for like 12 years. Nice bathroom. Unfortunately, it's a shower and not a bathtub. Something I really don't like. I know some people feel the opposite way. And look at this, the makeup cloth says making it easy. And the do not disturb sign says taking it easy. Of course it does. Not a bad spot, you guys. Now I've got to edit all night long. And then tomorrow morning, get up and finally reach our final destination. Not in a creepy horror movie way, like just the final destination of this, the apogee. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Clearly, I'm too tired, which means I've done my duty. Please check the links down below, or just go to randomland.com for links to our Patreon to keep the show on the road, but also the merch, the sick kindred spirit hats, the R stands for adventure, the hot sauce I mentioned early, and my book, Tales from Randomland. And now, all that's left to do is hotel and sleep well. See you next time. Hey man, rock and roll. They're standing on the corner. Wow, Winslow, Arizona. Wow. I better shut up and drive. Whoa, watch out over here, Large Marge.